This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
Well, very pleasant good evening. Time for the Quit Talk Coach's Corner with Coach John Messina.
Well, you missed me, huh?
Yeah, we sure have. We played a lot of your television shows, that's for sure.
Played a lot of reruns. I was quite busy. Had a real good time helping out coaching in Martin County. We had,
for folks who don't know, tell them what you were doing.
I was asked to help out with the baseball team. We had an absolutely wonderful staff. Brett Hawkins, Todd Beloach, who had been head coaches there. I got to work with my good friend Mike Lindgren, who used to be the athletic director at Martin County. And then we had Scott Proctor, who pitched for the Yankees. We had Rob Murphy, who pitched for the Cincinnati Reds, helping us out. And we had a fun year. We started off real slow, 1-7. We won 13 of our next 16 games, and then we lost a tough game to a very good Okeechobee team, who I wish well in the playoffs. So it was a lot of fun, but had to find my way here today because I forgot, But before we get started, we had a real close friend and a friend to everybody in St. Lucie County, a good friend of mine, Scott Hoffman, who was a coach at Port St. Lucie High School and a teacher and coach at Centennial and a teacher coached boys and girls soccer, passed away last month. And Scott was just a great person, and we think of him every day and we miss him. He really cared about the young men and women in this county. And, we had a nice service for him over at Centennial High School, last month, and we're going to miss Scott, and so condolences out to his family.
Yeah, and I've got one too. One of my favorite athletes ever that I ever had a chance to cover. Great basketball player, and he could play a little baseball too, Mr. Tony Gwynn.
Yes.
This is Tony's birthday, and I think of him so much. And when I posted that on Facebook, somebody said, he's not basketball, he's baseball. Wrong. He was the star point guard for San Diego State and for Coach Tim Veazey, and did a great job. Two-sport kid. And, of course, obviously went on to an amazing baseball career. But
he gave a lot back. He went back and coached at his alma mater.
You bet. He coached at San Diego State. And, it was very funny because his wife, who started him off, in college, while he was playing for the Aztecs, she would videotape all of his at-bats. And she did that through his entire baseball career. When he started at Walla Walla, she was there. And he was one of the first players to really, really study tape.
The science of hitting.
There you go.
And he was,
exactly.
He's excellent. I mean, I watched a lot of his videos and everything, but
what a man.
He's a good man. But getting back in the show, we missed a lot of things at high school.
Yeah, we did.
We're going to try to cover a lot today. I know we're not going to get through all of it. We got our good friend Fred Alameda who's going to call in at 6:30, and we're going to specifically talk about high school baseball in the state. It feels good being back in the chair. I had a good friend told me how to dress. I says, why? How we got to get on dress? I have my fashion consultant. We're on the radio here. But
hey, wait a minute. You're on YouTube television,
on
too.
YouTube television.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but they can only see me from
yeah, that's right.
Up,
that's true, yeah.
Up on that. But there was a lot of things going on. So we're going to try to touch as many things as we can today. I know down the road we want to do a very important show. We want to, try to connect it with WSTU TV, for St. Lucie County on sports safety, and I want to bring in a trainer, and I want to bring in a doctor that I met in Martin County, and that's a topic that really, really needs to be discussed and talked about, because I don't just think there's enough. And you see all these guys in the NFL, everybody quitting on their own. I think there was a football player from Arkansas that said, I can't take it anymore. He saw himself getting hit in a game, and the reaction of his parents, and also with the heat dehydration. That's another factor. They were just on the news. It's going to be 93 on Saturday, and we have a lot of these
spring football
going on right now.
Yeah.
And another sport that we should be talking about, and my good friend Michael Stutzky, who was the AD at Sebastian River for many years, talked about safety in soccer, which we don't talk about with the head injuries and the concussions. So we're going to try to put a nice show together in June and maybe tape it and send it to all the schools and everything on that.
Well, see, I never thought about the safety in soccer, and still I started watching, ironically, the women's matches, and they're getting kneed in the head constantly, and the concussion thing.
Well, the funny thing about football, if you look at most of the concussion plays, it's going to happen near where the ball is. But in soccer, you can have two people hitting each other. It could be completely on the other side of the field, and nobody's picking it up. So I think that's something that's got to be, more awareness to the athletic directors, much more awareness to the high school coaches and to all the officials, what we're going to look at. I know just with baseball this year, and we were fortunate at Morton County, we had a trainer every game, we had a doctor probably every other game, and there were some instances, we had ball players got hit in the head, and they went right through the concussion protocol.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you have, were they your players or some of the visitors?
One was a visitor player, and the coach wanted to put him back in, and our trainer from Morton County went out there and said, there's no way he's going back in. Because,
So the trainer overruled
the coach. He was very forceful.
Good,
He said,
good.
And even though it wasn't his trainer, he says, look, I'm making a call right now, But there's a lot of things going on, and let's see if we can touch a few of them. First of all, with the team sports this year, Martin County and Vero Beach, they really had good years, huh? In most of the sports. They really... I think they were cut above about everybody else.
Lenny's turned that place in Vero into a factory.
Lenny's
every sport.
And you got my old secretary there, not my old
there
secretary.
There you
go. Candy Kondorsky's there, and she's doing a great job there. But they have done, Lincoln Park, as usual, has done, great things with them. Treasure Coast had a nice year in baseball and softball. Both of their teams made the regionals. Softball team got beaten in the regionals. Baseball team's playing tonight. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then also track, which you don't hear about a lot. Sebastian River had 4 individual winners.
Wow.
Lincoln Park.
I was going to say, where's LPA?
Lincoln Park with Caleb Pontiff.
Yes.
And let me tell you about Caleb. He wins the 1600. He wins the 3200. And then he was the state cross-country champ. So I think he dominated a little bit.
That wasn't the same day, was it?
No.
I was going to say,
no.
Oh, my God.
I think it's 2 days. I'm pretty sure it's 2 days.
Wow.
And also I think the Pine School had an individual champ. But, we have done, real well, even though I think the emphasis is maybe a little too much on football here in the spring. There's a lot of other sports going on. I know, we'll get into some of the other things going on. With the team sports that are still playing, flag football, Martin County, which is undefeated, just running through the opposition, is playing Dr. Phillips this week. That's going to be a great game. And Jensen Beach, which won their district, is playing Oxbridge.
Okay. How big is that field? Do they play on a regular football field?
It's 50 yards.
Oh, it's 50 yards.
50 yards, yeah. And
okay.
It's a little bit different on that. Excuse me. And then softball, we got 4 teams still playing. We got Vero Beach is hosting Palm Harbor. This is the second round. So you're 2 games away from going to the state finals, which is up in Dodgertown. We have Okeechobee playing South Fork, and they're both out of the same district. They both won their first round, and then they're playing each other. John Carroll is playing at Marathon, and Masters Academy is playing at Mount Dora. So all those games are going on. And again, you think about it that way. You're 2 games away from going to the state finals, And then
I got hats off to Dodgertown, by the way. Of course, a dear friend of mine from the Dodgers, Ruth Ruiz, has been there handling their information for the last year. And but Craig Callan up there has managed to book so many amazing events. And I know, our IRC team was playing in the state championship softball up there, too. They've turned that facility. My goodness, it's like at least 360 days a year.
I think all they're missing with the baseball is the lights. I wish they had the lights. That would be great. But the Dodgers never had the lights. But they do a nice job with the softball. It's tough to draw because a lot of people don't want to stay overnight for softball games. When I mean draw, I mean for the economic impact. Softball games, hour and 15 minutes with these real good teams. Maybe we'll. So you're going to drive up and then you're going to drive back. It wasn't like with the baseball, which we had 3.5 hour games, And So, but one big topic that has happened in the last few weeks for high school had to do with football. Coach Chuck Kenyon, left Martin County after 10 years there, went up to Sebastian River.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And he
Wow.
he replaced Kevin Pettis, who moved to another school. I'm not real sure where he went. But the replacement for Coach Kenyon was kind of a surprise, and very good surprise, was Coach Bill Cubitt. Bill was the
Western Michigan?
Western Michigan coach, okay? Also, he was the University of Illinois' coach last year. He took over when they fired one of
Would he have a cup of coffee there?
Well,
How long
what
was that?
happened was they had a new AD,
Yeah.
and before I think even Bill had a chance to coach a game, they let him go, and they brought in Lovey Smith, and they kind of struggled last year. They were 2-10. But Bill came back, and I got a chance to meet him. What a wonderful person, and he's
You gotta
committed.
get him on the air here.
We definitely will. He coached Martin County in the 80s and took them to the regional, I think it was the semifinals or the regional finals one year. But he won 30 games in 3 years,
Wow.
you know. So he has done an absolute wonderful job. But, you know, when I was over at Martin County, just watching his practices, they were like clockwork. You know, boom, 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 everybody moving from spot to spot, moving around. And I was very, very impressed. And he's going to reach out. He's got a great quarterback coming back. You know, even though they lost Kirkendall, they got George Johnson, who
Oh, yeah. Mike Thomas talks about him all the time.
he's probably the best athlete in this area. And George played wide receiver last year. He was an all-state wide receiver. Now, as a freshman, when Kirkendall was hurt, he played quarterback and did very well. Now he's going back to quarterback, and which is Bill's specialty. And you know, like I said, we'll get him on the air, and he speaks very, very well. You know, but you know, there's a lot of good things going on in high school, and you know, Fred's going to be talking about a little bit about the baseball that we have coming up. One thing I think you and I have talked about for many, many years is how good the baseball is in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was just watching a game the other night when the Red Sox were playing Baltimore. Chris Sales from Lakeland High School, or excuse me, not Lakeland High School, another school in the middle of the state. He went to Florida Gulf Coast, was pitching against Baltimore, whose pitcher went to the same school. And it's just amazing. And I think back to our state baseball tournament that, you know, we hosted, you know, about 5 years ago. We had Addison Russell, who's a star with the Cubs, Eric Hosmer. Addison Russell played for Pensacola Pace. Eric Hosmer played for Westminster Christian, is with Kansas City.
Yeah.
The late Jose Fernandez, who played for Tampa Alonzo, and you know, pitched for the Marlins.
What about that Gio? I can't think of his last name.
Gio Gonzalez played for Hialeah High.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had him up here, right? In the state
no,
tournament?
he
Or
graduated
did we see him
before.
in Sarasota?
I think we saw him in Sarasota.
We may have seen. Okay.
Sarasota.
I knew I had seen him in the
Yes.
state tournament. Okay.
Nick Castellanos, who played for Archbishop
Sure.
McCarthy, and he's starting third baseman, and Manny Machado played for Miami Brito.
Oh my God.
So you have all those players.
Wait a minute. That was a team that only spoke Spanish, right? In the state tournament.
No, I
think the coaches all spoke Spanish.
I think they had some spoke both languages and
Yeah.
stuff, but a great team. And I was able to see Archbishop McCarthy this year on the wrong end, and you know, Alex Fernandez, who's the director of baseball personnel at the school, was one of my former players and very close to him. He's
So
my
he
son's
didn't take the gas off for the old
no,
man?
They didn't take the gas off. He put it on. It was 5-1 for 5 innings, and then boom, it exploded. But that was the most talented baseball team that I have seen ever in 40 years of high school baseball.
Really?
And believe it or not, they lost 2 games this year. They won their district. They're 25-2. They're ranked 6th in the nation.
All right. Tell me the coach's mentality of why Martin County would play a team like that.
Well, I guess I brought it up, and you know, Brett went with it, and you know, we opened up with him, which is, I guess if we had to do it over, we probably would have opened up with him. But just to see our kids, how well, this is the best. Do you want to be like that? And
That's the old John Wooden thing. You gotta, play the best to be the best.
But I was looking at the Max Preps, top 50 teams in the nation, and they had about 8 or 9 teams from Florida.
Oh,
but what McCarthy was 6, Miami Columbus was 7, Westminster Christian was 8.
Wow.
Panama City Mosley was 13. But what I noticed, some of the other schools, the amount of games. Now, you explain this to me. The number 1 ranked team is Shawnee, Oklahoma. They're 37-0, and they haven't finished. How can you play 37 games with Oklahoma's weather? Explain that to me, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
We played 40 games back in the 60s in high school. St. Bernard's.
Now, here in Florida, we're only playing 25. In St. Lucie County, it's only 22.
We had a long schedule.
How can they get them? And they must be playing double headers or tournaments.
We played double headers.
That's what I'm thinking. But you're going to get snowed out in Oklahoma sometimes, too.
Don't get snowed out much in L.A. either.
Then they had a team that just started their playoffs, West Monroe from Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
They're 37-2. They played 39 games already. I mean, I think the most I ever played down in Miami, I think one year we played 35.
Counting the state tournament.
Counting the state tournament. That's
Wow.
as much as you get. Now I think the max you can get is 31. 25 for regular season and 6 for the playoffs if you go all the way through. But that just kind of shocked me, the amount of games that they are playing, at that time. And another thing, they have pushed back the start of baseball and softball season 2 weeks. Because remember, when we hosted the tournament, it was 3rd week in May.
Yeah.
Now, that was the end of 3rd week of May. Now, the end of the baseball tournament is 1st week in June. So what are you going to run into?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to run into the rain.
Wet stuff. Are they still over in Fort Myers?
They're over in Fort Myers, but they're not at the Red Sox Park this year because they have something going on. So they moved it across town to the City of the Palms field with the Twins.
Right.
It's a brand new field. So
it's a nice
should be
field.
nice.
I saw it on TV.
It will be going out there, but it's just amazing that, we were kind of talking, and most of the other schools be kind of talking. You're going to be playing 2 weeks after you graduate. Okay? Now, that's going to be a little tough. And your playoff games are going to be during your graduation. They're going to be during your prom. They're going to be during your grad night. So kids are going to have to make choices. And graduation, I'm pretty sure the state would give you a waiver to move the game, day before or day after. But a lot of schools are graduating like the end of the 2nd week in May. And when the final game of the state tournament is 1st week in June, you got 3 weeks. If you go all the way, how are you going to keep the kids in line there? They're not at school or anything,
Sure.
So that's a little bit different. I kind of feel they pushed it back so far now. Anybody that's playing baseball can't play spring football. Because even, we just had...
That's right,
We just had the first round of the playoffs last week. So even if you got eliminated in day 1, you're going to miss half of spring football. And you're not going to be able to go up and really catch up because you only have 20 days. So, again, the reason, I have no idea what they did, no reason why. Maybe they had a hard time getting the venues and work backwards. We can only get this venue at this date, But, so we're going to have Fred call in a few minutes, So, we're going to go to break. And then we'll have Fred call in, and we're going to start to talk about the individuals, teams in this area that's still playing in the baseball.
Sounds good. All right. Coach Fred will call in soon. We'll be back. We are back. Quit Talk Coach's Corner with Coach John Messina. And, Coach, I mentioned to you during the break, those commercials we just heard were all middle school kids. The first young man was from the Boys and Girls Club, and then the other 2 were from middle schools in Martin County. all judged by the Orlando Magic broadcast team.
So they have a future, as you're saying.
Oh
right?
boy, yeah, we got, but all middle schoolers. That's amazing. That's great stuff. Good stuff.
Well, we got Coach Fred Alamade on the phone. Hi, Freddie. How we doing tonight?
Gentlemen, how you doing? It's been a while. Greg, let me tell you something. Tell those middle schoolers don't work for ESPN. They might not have a job.
They'll
They're doing fine now.
they'll let them go, you know. So,
Guys,
Freddie,
how you been? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's we were floating around. I mean,
Couple months, yeah.
Yeah.
I got lost, Fred, on the way here.
Yeah, it took a while to find the
lost.
freeway exit.
Right, I got all dressed up, and I realized I'm on radio. You know, so. But how are you doing? You kind of bored now that the season's over?
No, well, I'll tell you what. Season ended, and it's a grind, and then it ends, and then you try and recharge your batteries. I'm trying to finish out school the next couple of weeks. It's it's a little busy, but everything's good. All's good.
You know, I always think it's hard to end the season the way it does so quick. It's the finality of everything. Boom, zing, it's over. You know.
Well, the way it works is, and I'm looking at some of the teams that made it. Congratulations to all them. It's you get into the one and not, like Martin County situation.
Yeah.
Being there, and then the teams that go on, you play maybe last Thursday, Friday, depending on where you are, and you play tomorrow or tonight, I should say. And then guess what? You're done. I mean, it just happens so fast, and the season's so long. So
well, one of the
it's
things
a tough one.
We were talking about before you called in is that they pushed the season back 2 weeks, and now it's running into 2 weeks after graduation, maybe 3 weeks in some parts, and you're only playing. Starting this week, you're only playing a game a week. So if you got one horse on that mound, he's throwing your district semifinals, he's throwing your regional first round, a week later your regional second round, a week later your regional third round, a week later your state semifinal. What do you think about that, Fred?
Well, again, in this area this year, pitching dominated.
Yes.
So you look at somebody like Vero Beach that had some really nice pitchers. They're 14-1 at home. They're playing home today. So again, when you're looking at, you got your 1 and 2 that are very, very good. They got a real good chance to win 3, even if they have to go on the road, and get into the Final Four. Where Jensen Beach is the same way. They got outstanding pitching, and pitching could take you a while.
But you know what kind of hurts a little bit? One pitcher equals a staff when you get to this. If you have a staff, and I got one pitcher. Okay, we're equal until we get to the state finals. Okay, because I could throw my one all the time against the staff because you really got a whole week rest in it. Years ago, date myself here, you only had one team come out of the district.
50 years ago when John was coaching.
What's that do? 30, we can get away with 30. Okay. Even though I feel good this year, that's because I'm not working, Fred. I want to rub that in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 30 years ago, you had one team come out of the district, but you would play Tuesday, Friday, state the next week, beginning of the next week. You had to have 2, 3, 4 pitchers. Now it's one. I don't understand why they're spreading it out. And I don't understand why they're going to June.
From a position standpoint, baseball's a game that you just keep playing, and, practice is, I don't want to say unnecessary, but you get into a rhythm of the game. So when you play 2 or 3 times a week, you get into that rhythm. When
Correct.
you play once a week, it turns into like football, where like sometimes it's a different mentality. So, I'd rather play two times a week. But, when the pitching dominates and you got 1 or 2 horses that can take you there, it really does help.
And think about this. Say, there's a bunch of teams playing tonight. We're going to go over them in a second. You win tonight. You don't play until the following Tuesday, okay? What are you going to do? You're not going to practice every day. You give them off the next day, but then you got Thursday, Friday, you practice. You give them off the weekend.
Right.
You're not in that rhythm, as you mentioned. And then when you get into the next round, you're getting into graduation. I know Martin County was talking about if they got into the playoffs and won the first round, the second round would have been their graduation date. Now the state's going to give you a waiver, but still it's going to knock everything out.
Still.
You're not going to be able to practice that day either. So
right.
it's something. it's expanding it too long. Now, one of the reasons I heard this is because the lack of officials. They want the best officials doing it. But, and then also I think that something that really hurts is now you're talking about 9 classifications. So you're talking about 36 teams going to the state championship.
You had how many here?
When we first started, we had 6. We had 24. Now
Wow.
it's 9. Now it's
Yeah.
9. Now we got it done in 8 or 9 days. We didn't go on Sunday except for 1 year.
Right.
Now it's over 2 weeks. And they
Wow.
do not. We had built-in rainout days. They do not have rainout days anymore. So you can't play more than 4 games in a day unless you go to other fields. But that's the hard part. If you get rain, you're in trouble. I know. Talking to my good friend Tommy Duffin down at Pace, they played one of the games. They started at 11:45 at night. They finished at 2:30 in the morning last year
God.
because they had to get
Yeah,
it in.
that's getting a little bizarre right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They had to get in. All right, so let's go through some of the teams that are playing, and they're playing right now. We got
Right.
Vero Beach, who we both saw. I think you saw it 3 times. I saw it twice, playing Newsom. And Vero Beach's guy finished at 22-5. They have 2 big-time pitchers in David Luigi and Hunter Cooley. So what's the scenario on Vero Beach?
Yeah, again, they're playing Newsom 17-8, who plays some tough teams over in Tampa. But Vero is 14-1 at home. They're real tough. They get a nice crowd. It's a nice environment up there. It's a lot like the football situation. They got a ranking for all the teams, and they're ranked the highest anywhere here in the Treasure Coast in the state playoffs, which that ranking's 20th. Newsom's 141. So if you just go by some kind of ranking that the state gives them, it looks like Vero Beach should go to the second round. And I think to be honest with you, I think they got a pretty good shot to go to the Final Four.
Well, they definitely have the
The
pitching.
way it sets up.
Right.
Yeah.
Coach
Where
Ray-
is this Newsom from? I've never even heard of this school.
They're over in Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in the
Okay.
Hillsborough County area. Yeah.
Isn't
And,
isn't that amazing, though, Fred? First round games here, you got to travel 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
You're in
Treasure
Miami.
Coast.
You're in Miami, okay? You
2
might be-
miles.
not even that. You might be using the same field. I remember
true.
Hialeah and Miami Springs years ago both won their district, and they played in the regionals. And they both used the same field, so it didn't matter. I said, where you traveled? All they traveled was from one
Right.
dugout to the next dugout. See,
Well,
that's-
it's like Treasure Coast. They're going on the road to Alonzo, which is over in almost downtown Tampa,
right.
and they're not using Alonzo's field. They're using like a county facility. So Treasure Coast is going, I'm guessing, 3.5 hour ride
Easily.
to play Alonzo.
Easily. And Alonzo is a powerhouse, and that's where the late Jose Fernandez went. They won 2 state titles when we hosted it. I think they won his sophomore year and his senior year. I know they beat Park Vista one year in the finals, and they're just a powerhouse. It's a tough road for Treasure Coast. Now, we did not play them this year. What's the scenario on Treasure Coast?
Well, they got Sebastian Martinez, who's a junior pitcher that just keeps the ball down and has a lot of breaking things. He got some slider working, and he moves the ball. He's just really savvy. They got a scrappy bunch. They don't make a lot of mistakes. But, again, they don't hit the ball real well like most of the teams around here. But defensively, they do a nice job. Now, Alonzo's played better competition, and being on a bus for 4 hours kind of takes a grind on you. But, in one game with some nice pitching, hopefully you want to hang around to the end and you get a few breaks and you never know what happens.
Taking that trip, it's a tough call.
It's a bear.
I remember one year when I was coaching in Port St. Lucie, and we beat, I think it was Dwyer in the first round, and we beat St. Thomas in the second round. So now we're in regional finals. We beat St. Thomas. They were #1 in the nation. And
Wow.
we had Rick Ankiel, Brian Sullivan. We had a great team. And we went over and played Dunedin. Okay, now Dunedin played at the Toronto Blue Jays facility out
Sure.
there. And my great principal, Charlie Kumo, I went up to him and I said, Charlie, I don't ask you for too many things, but I'd like to go over a little bit early. So we went on a Sunday night. Game was Tuesday night, and Charlie was great. And you know what, Fred? We won a big emotional game, beating St. Thomas on a Friday. Rained on Saturday. We didn't practice. We didn't practice on Sunday, obviously. Traveled Sunday night, played at the practice at the Blue Jay facility on Monday, in and out of the rain. But we got there too early, and we were too relaxed. And it was one of these games we were up 2-0 when we should have been up 5-0, and we ended up losing 5-3. And it was kind of sad because I think I made the wrong call by going out there too early. And it's tough. With coaching a team, you have to judge your team. And I think I kind of lulled my guys to sleep. If I had to do it over again, I probably would have let them sleep in their own beds for Sunday and Monday.
Just get up and go.
Just get up and
go.
Yeah,
we did that years ago at Centennial. We had to go across the state and play over in Naples, and it depends on, you have to stop and eat, and you eat it somewhere. It's a nice sit-down place. You kind of get relaxed, and then all of a sudden you get back on the bus and you're in unfamiliar territory. They're going over to Tampa, and then you got to say, okay, guys, that we've been on a bus for 4 hours. We had a nice meal. Now we got to get ready to play a game. It's kind of hard to get high school kids into that environment. So, it depends on your team. You're right, but the 4-hour bus ride, 3.5-hour bus ride is tough. It's not going to be an easy road for Treasure Coast.
And it's not just high school kids. You believe me, with IRSC, man, we're
right.
and we take those 4.5-hour drives, and those legs are really tired on that bus.
Yeah. The kids listen to music, they start getting lax, and then you got to say, okay, turn off the music and let's go. All of a sudden you got to go like from 0 to 60. And sometimes it is, you're in the third inning, you're down 3-0, you're like, what's going on? So it is tough, yeah.
I remember years ago, I wasn't 50, Greg, okay, when the state finals were held at one of the 4 schools that was in it. Up until 1988, one of the 4 schools that made it to final would be the host. So you'd be traveling.
That could never happen in California. Really?
Yeah, and you know what?
Really,
I kind of liked it a lot.
Really?
Because nobody ever rooted against you. They rooted for the home team. Now, we played in Avon Park. We played in Leesburg. We played in Jacksonville Bowls. And the fans were just terrific. But the one thing that I always had a problem with was the traveling. And we were used to it every year at Pace. You got all the parents going with you. So I always made a rule, and I was lucky. I always had principals that backed me up. Parents never stayed in the same hotels the kids did. And I really tried to isolate the kids.
That's a smart move.
It was smart.
Keep them away.
We kept away. In fact, way back when there wasn't cell phones and there wasn't the internet and there wasn't any way they can get in touch with people, what we did was we had the hotel manager shut off the room phones. And we usually stayed in motels, and we'd rotate. One of the coaches would stand outside all the time, so nobody can do anything. And we had them kind of locked in, and we were pretty successful that way. But times have changed now. Now with the internet and the cell phones, I mean, our biggest thing, Fred, when we used to pull into a town for a playoff game, first thing we do is run to the newsstands and grab the paper and see how they did, right?
Okay, now they're on their phones. They can tell you what's going on.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Okay.
At Martin County High School this year,
yes,
were players allowed to have their cell phones on the bench?
No.
Okay,
No.
good,
No,
good.
no. Stay in the locker room. Coach Hawkins had them.
Very good.
They kept a lock. We, like I said, we always had a trainer there. So if there was an emergency or something like that, but we had their cell phones were in their bags in the locker room, which was right behind the dugout. Now, when they went on the road, of course, you let them bring the cell phones, but they kept them in the bags and they kept them off. I don't remember an instance of one phone going off.
That's good. So That's really good.
Okay, Fred, now let's go down to 7A. We have a bunch of teams playing. We have Sebastian River playing New Smyrna Beach.
New Smyrna Beach, right. Mm-hmm.
We have Jensen Beach playing Olympic Heights. And we have Okeechobee playing Palm Beach Dwyer. So what's your feeling on some of these teams?
Well, Sebastian River's young team. They got some really nice young players. New Smyrna Beach lost to Vieira in their region up there, their district. Vieira is very, very good. So I think Sebastian River's going to have a tough time going on the road at New Smyrna Beach. Jensen Beach I think, is again at home. They're 9-2 at home. They're playing Olympic Heights from down in Palm Beach, and Olympic Heights was like middle of the pack down there, 15-13. In that ranking system I was mentioning, they're 380. They're probably the highest out of all the teams that anybody in the tri-state area are playing here in the state playoffs. So I hope and think Jensen Beach should win that one.
Right. And
now Okeechobee's a team. Okeechobee's a team that could surprise Dwyer. Now Dwyer and Jensen played this year, and I think Jensen beat them 5-4, or is it?
Jensen
beat them 5-4.
Yeah, something like
5-4.
Jensen beat Okeechobee is extremely well coached. Eric Kindle does a great job. They're not going to beat themselves. If the Brad Stewart kid can pitch, he's been out with mono. If he can come back and pitch, he can be very, very good. But they have
it would not surprise me if Okeechobee would beat Dwyer. Now, they're playing down in Dwyer, but Okeechobee's a team, like you said, don't beat themselves. If they can get some runs early, they got nice defense, pitching's solid. That would be one that would be a nice upset for Okeechobee. But I do think Jensen Beach should beat Olympic Heights in their home, so that definitely helps. Yeah.
And the best player on Dwyer is our good friend John Lynch's nephew. He plays shortstop.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Wow. Big time player.
Wow.
Big time player.
I love
his brother played. The older brother played for Southern Miss.
Tim Lynch played for Dwyer at Southern Miss, and he got drafted, made John's whole day. He got Yankees.
Yankees.
Got
the Yankees.
Wow.
Jensen Beach has two pitchers, Ryan Richardson and Jacob Winger, who was a transfer coming in from South Fork, and they're big-time pitchers. And they have these two guys, and I think, I'm pretty sure both of them have come in relief this year. See, there's the one drawback, Fred, by playing one game a week, okay? If you're playing one game a week, you got to make sure your number two can come in relief, and you got to practice that during the year. Because if he hasn't come in relief, that's a completely different story,
Right, and it's a one and done situation. So, then it's judging like for Corey down at Jensen Beach. How long do you go with your one before you think, okay, he's getting a little tired, and like you said, is your two ready? Because a lot of us have closers. And so instead of using your two, your closer, might be better to use than your two. So, that's a little tricky situation that you have to understand your staff.
Right. And then
your pitching.
6A, we got Port St. Lucie, and they didn't, Johnny does a great job over there, but they didn't have their best team they have had in years. They play against a UGalley team that is absolutely loaded. We played them during the year, and they hit home runs, and two of them haven't landed yet. I mean, excellent team.
And O'Galley, again, like you said, in this ranking system, they were the highest ranked team other than Vero Beach. They were 24-3, 16-2 at home. So PSL definitely has their work cut out. And again, you got to travel, and that's not an easy thing. PSL lost to Suncoast for the district title. Suncoast might beat the other team that they have to play, but PSL's got an uphill battle against O'Galley.
Now, O'Galley is on a collision course with our buddies at Archbishop McCarthy. So, Fred, that might be our annual trip. We usually go to that game. We went up when he played Rockridge.
Either up or down.
Yep.
Last couple of years, we went north. Maybe we'll have to go south this year.
We'll go
so
south.
now, you guys are rattling off all these names of all these local schools in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are we going to be doing the same thing in November?
For football?
Nah.
No.
Well, I'll tell you what, Greg, that's a good point because, with the football now, they have you gain the points playing harder teams.
Oh, God.
So,
that's right. I forgot about that.
There's not a District 1 and 2 anymore. It could be your district winner goes. But, if you're in a 4-team district, you could have 3 teams going.
Or you could have one team going. You could get shut out.
Have one team going.
Now again, we'll get into that.
I forgot about
Mike Thomas. I could hear Mike.
It's cut and dry.
It's cut and dry.
Football, yeah.
But here's with football. Okay, you're playing somebody beginning of the year. They're 3-0. You're 3-0. You beat them. Oh, that's great. Well, they lose their next 6 games. Then they're not so good, and that win. So you're not going to have a clue if you're going to get in or out. I mean, the key thing is win your district and you're in. So that's half the teams that get in. The other half are going to be sweating it out till they have their, what do you want to call it, their bowl show or the BCS
Right,
show
end of
or
the
the
year,
Whatever they
end
do.
of the year show, Okay, 2 more classifications, and then we're going to get on to a few other topics. Got Lincoln Park, who you played twice, right, Fred? They're playing Cardinal
Right,
Gibbons.
we split with them, right? Correct.
Okay, and that game, they're home, so that's an advantage playing up in Longwood because that's where they play all
Right.
their games. And they got a nice team. Coach Baltazov, there's a nice team. And John Carroll, who we both played twice, is playing at Archbishop Carroll. If I'm not mistaken,
Carroll.
it's down from Miami.
Right, we played them years ago.
Yeah.
It's a private school down there by Coral Gables.
Okay.
Now, they're having a real nice year, Archbishop Carroll, from what I understand. They're like 14-4. John Carroll, again, under new coach Dan Taylor, has had a nice year. But again, the hitting, I think, could be a problem. Now, Lincoln Park, I think, could get by Cardinal Gibbons. Cardinal Gibbons has a dime year this year. They actually had a losing record. So, I think Lincoln Park, again, playing at home, has an advantage. The problem for Lincoln Park is second round, you could end up in playing some tough teams because you got Pace, Key West, Matter Academy, and Gulliver in that bracket with Lincoln Park. So, even if you win one, it's tough.
So I got 4 of my former players that I know about still in the tournament coaching. Corey over at Jensen, Mike Sedone at Treasure Coast, Tommy Duffin at Pace, and Alex at McCarthy.
So now, wait a minute. He just mentioned the Keys.
Key
Have
West.
to go down to Key West to play a game?
Well, yeah, let's put
You talk
this-
about a road trip.
Now, say Lincoln Park's got to go to Key West, Fred. How long is that going to be?
Right.
Oh.
Now I'm going to tell you, you talk about travel. If you're on if you're taking a school bus, you're looking at 6 hours.
Easy.
I've heard. Even if you take a charter, you're looking at 4.5. But it's not even just playing the game because they're going to play that at 7 o'clock at night, and they play down at the football stadium.
Yes.
Down in Key West.
I played there many a times at Pace, and the crowd is like 5 feet away
crowd's
from
intense,
you.
yeah, to say the-
Intense
say
is
the
not
least.
intense is not
Right.
the appropriate term.
Wait a minute. They're playing a baseball game in a football
They
stadium.
moved the stands back.
Right.
It's
They
like
moved
the
the
LA
stands back and
Coliseum
yeah,
of
yeah.
the Dodgers.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
I mean,
kidding.
Your first base dugout literally is 5 feet away from first base. I'm not making this up.
Man.
I mean, I
And
used
Greg,
to.
they have the Frankfurters going.
Yeah.
So it's like you're about a mile and a half from Duval Street. You got the Frankfurters going. The ball game's going. Your kids are looking around because you're in Key West.
It's
Sure.
a carnival.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
carnival.
And the
Oh.
stadium is odd because it's in the football stadium. So, like left center is like 450 feet.
Yeah,
Right center is
sure.
pretty short because
Yeah.
they got the football stands. So the dimensions are all odd. They got all the people. John, you know this better than I do. They got all the people in their cars sitting on the side, tailgating because it's an odd environment. That's a tough one.
Well,
It's fun to play in, but it's hard to win.
I got a few stories. Most of them I can't tell on the air. But one of them, they were in our district every year. One of the best stories is, I finally talked to my principal. I says, we can't go down there at night to play them. And it always worked out. We had 5 teams in the district, and they always got outvoted 4-1 to host the district tournament. So anyhow, they made us go down and play them during the year. So we're playing them during the day. And, it was a decent crowd. I think they let half the school out. First pitch of the game, they called it a ball. We're batting, and they called it a ball. And the catcher turned around and says, Uncle Frank, that was a strike. So I knew we were in for a long game. I don't think we got a call after that. He turned around and looked at me and said, Uncle Frank, that was a strike. I said, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. But, that's a tough one. Let's put it this way. If you could win in Key West, you could win anywhere. And I'm
You
not
can win
saying
anywhere,
I'm
yeah,
not saying
yeah.
they're bad fans. They're great fans if you're for Key West. They're great. I mean, you remember when Key West had the great basketball teams years ago, right?
Right, years ago, yeah. I mean, even now, Key West last year had a kid named Velez. It was a really nice player. He plays for the University of Miami now. And, they were just a solid team. They had 4 or 5 kids that went Division I.
Wow.
And they didn't even get to the Final Four last year.
Wow.
So, their baseball, they won the state title, 8, 9 8, 9 times in their history, John.
Well, we had a thing where if they were in the same district, and if we didn't get out of it in pace, they won. I mean, there was a 3-year span that St. Brendan's, Key West, and us. Now we were only in a 14 district. Whoever got out of district won the state, and then we got on a nice roll for a while, and then Key West got on a nice roll for a while. Another thing we were talking about, Fred, is the amount of games. I was looking on Max Preps, and some of these schools who are just into their playoffs. The number 1 ranked team in the nation is Shawnee, Oklahoma. They're 37-0. Explain to me how you can get 37 games in Oklahoma. And we just started.
Here's the thing. We talk about playing 25, which we might in St. Lucie County go to next year. 25, you're playing 3 a week. You going to have some pitchers.
You
so
have
you're
more than
playing
one.
37. I mean, that's definitely have to load up. Now, I'm assuming that team or some of the teams are traveling and playing
tournaments,
4 games over a weekend or in a tournament, but it takes a toll on your pitching staff, especially trying to jam them in a week. Yeah. And you want to win them, so you just don't want to throw arms out there. You want to send out some quality arms that are rested. So, that would be tough squeezing 37 in.
Right. The teams ranked in Florida are Archbishop McCarthy at 6, Miami Columbus at 7, Panama City Mosley at 13, West Orange at 17, Jacksonville Sandalwood at 26, Westminster Christian at 28, Calvary Christian, I think that's out of Naples, Fred.
Yeah, over that side. Mm-hmm.
They're 26-0.
Whoa.
So I think that and what Max Preps out of that first team, Shawnee and Calvary Christian, that's the only schools that are undefeated. I think, basically in the nation. It's tough to go undefeated in baseball. You probably got more
it really is. Yeah, I mean, like I said, pitching's dominating. So your pitcher could be shutting people out, and you make an error and you lose 1-0, and you might be the better team. You just can't put the ball in play sometimes. So yeah, baseball is one of those games. It's just really hard to go undefeated. An inch here and an inch there loses your game. Or like you said, Uncle Frank doesn't call strike 3.
Uncle Frank doesn't call strike 3.
I can't even spell undefeated.
It's funny. The best team I ever had at Pace was 88. We went 33-1.
Oh, man.
And the team that we lost to, we pitched a no-hitter. We got 10 hits. We never struck out. We had line drives all over the place. They had 3 runners on base. They had a walk, a steal, an error. And we got the guy in a rundown between third and home, and we threw the ball in the outfield. And that's knocked our undefeated season over. One other thing I want to talk about, Fred, we're going to have you on in about 2 weeks. We're going to have a college football pre-show, which will kind of get to the top teams.
4 months till we get to.
I know you got it down to dates, and I'm telling you right now, I like USC, but. Anyhow,
Fred's going to explain if University of Miami is going to go up to Division I.
Oh, don't get him started. Don't get him started. But there was a great story.
We still don't schedule Vero Beach like Rutgers does.
Yeah, but you play Vero Beach at Vero Beach, right?
Yeah. We're not.
Lenny won't travel down to Miami. Okay. There's a great story on NBC News last night about David Price, the pitcher for the Red Sox. He's a great person on and off the field, and alumni of Vanderbilt, came from Tennessee. He built a stadium for handicapped young men and women to play baseball, where they can go around on their wheelchairs, their motorized carts, their scooters, and he spent his own money. He built this, and sometimes we hear about these athletes doing this and that, and you don't really hear about good things, but it was really everything I heard about David Price. I mean, when Vanderbilt was in the College World Series a few years ago, he went to every game in between starts. He flew and he sit there. But if people out there get a chance to read that story and how he put his own money in. But
it's on the NBC.com website. Go take a look at it.
Well, Fred, thanks for calling in. I'll see you soon. And we're going to take a trip out. I guess we might be going up to Ugali to see McCarthy, right?
Up or down, we'll go either way.
We'll go. Okay, Freddie. Thanks for calling in. Okay?
All right, we'll see you guys. Have a good day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
You have a good one. Fred Almeida. Oh, boy. Good man. And, man, this hour is gone.
Say you missed me.
I did miss you.
Okay.
I did miss you, pal.
All right.
Okay. We will be back next week with the Quit Talk Coaches Corner, brought to you by the Quit Talk Foundation of Martin County on both WPSL Port St. Lucie and WSTU Stewart. And on WSTU, it'll be the Marlins and Cards following us in just 25 seconds.